tonight, the silver screen will bleed, and we're here to dissect every drop. Welcome to Fright Nights, where we dive into the dark side of horror cinema and the minds behind it.
And with that, I welcome you into yet another episode of Fright Nights here through 105.3 The Bear. As always, playing your host tonight. It's Kyle, K-Dog, whichever you prefer. For a lot of you, if this is your first episode, it might be the first time putting a face to the name. However, if you don't know what Fright Nights is, this is where I get to deep dive into the world of horror. I'm a huge fan, and I feel like The Bear, being a rock and metal station, is the perfect fit for that. So I get to interview actors, directors, authors, or just super fans like myself, and get to take a deeper look into the world of horror as we all know it. And speaking of guests, my guest tonight is Melissa Sapienza. I appreciate you joining me here tonight.
Well, thank you for having me.
Now, we met way back, I think it was April, for Screamiverse. And
Yes.
It took a while for us to finally get connected and get an episode out of the way. I had a lot of movies I had to watch, so I had my research ready to go. But yeah, we played a little bit of phone tag, but we're here.
Hey, life be life and sometimes.
Now, I don't know if you've seen any past episodes, but I'll kind of go over how the format usually works, and
Okay.
that way nothing's just thrown at you. The first half, we talk about you and your career and some of the films that you've been in, and then the last half is always just try to find a fun way to wrap up the show. So it'll be like kind of a not rapid fire questionnaire, just to kind of see what it is about horror that you like personally.
Sure.
And to start it off, we got a lot of movies to talk about. There's a lot that I was able to watch and some that I couldn't find, and you had warned me beforehand that some of them were not streamable. But
Right.
one of my first questions is always, what is it that got you into the world of horror? What was it like? Was it a first movie? Was it something you heard about? What was it that got you into the genre?
Well, in regards to working in the genre, it started off with starting to create costumes and do cosplay, go to conventions, and getting more familiar with special effects makeup. And those self-taught skills ended it put me on um, sets for little bits of special effects makeup, which ultimately led me to acting in the horror genre. But I have been exposed and desensitized to the horror genre personally since I was just walking. So it's always been a big part of growing up, and yeah, it's just always been there.
Now, was there a first movie or something like that that you watched and you were like, oh, well, I kind of like watching this, and stepping aside from acting and like the background stuff, was there a first movie that really solidified that love for horror as a viewer rather than a career?
I feel like again, it just kind of goes back to childhood, and I think it was really solidified when um, someone that I consider a brother at this point, growing up together, and he would dress up as like horror characters like Michael Myers or whatever. And I would be 8 years old with blood capsules in my mouth, um, running from him at like three across the street at like 3 o'clock in the morning with a big camcorder set up on the porch, just for him to murder me. Um, I feel like that's around the time that I'm like, yeah, this is something that I could, see myself doing and just keep enjoying.
Now, kind of circling back to Screamiverse, with the amount of people that were there and the amount of fans for Crackcoon, which is a movie we're going to talk about later, and some of the other films, did
Yeah.
you, when you first started off, did you ever imagine that it was going to get as big as it has for you, and that you'd be able to meet all of these people that are in love with the movies you've made and stuff like that? Or was it just something that you thought you wanted to do and see where it went? Or
I would never thought that I would have done as much as I've done and have a fan base, question mark? Like, it's kinda weird sometimes thinking about it, but, no, I totally just got into it to be like, "Hey, this is something that I can be creative with," and, again, I love creating. So any opportunity to be weird and have fun with it and make something cool, I'm always down. But definitely the people that I've got to meet, whether it be just um, indie fans or indie creators, I mean, even people that I grew up watching, um, and having dinner with them or conversations has been kind of a dream come true. Like, it's just cool. It's really cool.
And along those lines, from your point of view or perspective, what do you think it is about the horror genre that brings in the community that it does? Because I mean, you got there's a lot of action movies, a lot of rom-coms, romance, stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I mean, I feel like there's something different when it comes to horror because I mean, there's so many subgenres of horror. I mean, if you get action, it's action. You have
Yes.
romance, it's romance. Horror really has a wide variety, and I feel like there's a little bit for everybody in each subgenre. And I was
Yeah.
curious, like from your point of view, what is it about, like with your interactions with fans and stuff like that? What do you think it is about the genre that people are so pulled to?
I think that a lot of it has to do with um, the art of creating these these antagonists and these situations that nobody would want to be in and making it something that's digestible. Um, I really think it's just the art behind it. And like you said, there's so many subgenres that it's so hard to keep up with. And I think a lot of it too, and having fear backing up um, said art, because everybody has their own fears. And with, like you said, with action, there's only so much that you can cover with emotions,
Yeah.
but fear, there's so many different types of fear too. And I just think that as much as we don't want to relate to those things, you kind of find yourself relating to those things.
No, I agree, and it's like you said, with the amount of subgenres there are, I'm quickly realizing how many there are because I've started a challenge for myself, which I don't know how feasible it is, but
Yeah.
my current objective is to watch every English color horror film ever made. And I found a wiki that apparently lists all of them, and I'm trying to go chronologically, and I've only
Oh my
made it to
god.
1970, and I've got like 450 movies under my belt since I started this back in February. So
Oh
I'm quickly
wow.
realizing just how many there are, and there's been some that I'm like, the fuck did I just watch? And then there's others that I'm like, this is incredible.
Right.
But it's like I said, there's something for everyone. And I think when we get to the movies that I've watched that you were in, they cover a wide range of horror,
Yeah.
whether it's like the culty stuff, the cryptids and stuff like that. So we will get into that. But part of my research is I've watched some past interviews that you've done. And one of the things was you've shown that you're a fan of like the final girl concept. And I'm curious, is like, are there specific ones or like specific qualities that in your own acting that you've tried to replicate, or have they influenced, or what? How is it that this final girl shtick, or I don't know what the word is in the horror community, but
Yeah.
how has that impacted you as an actor yourself?
Yeah. Um, that's a really good question. No, so thinking of Final Girls, any of them that you can really think of, there are certain qualities that you see that I feel like everyone says that they like, but then in real life they don't get the light that they deserve. And um, it also, in a way, represents that, women are just badasses and they should be taken seriously. Like, to be honest. And um I think Final Girls have been an honest reflection of how, you know, women are pretty kick ass.
And no, I agree. And like it's like
Yeah.
all the way back from like the 80s with Texas Chainsaw all the way up,
Oh
or the 70s with
yeah.
Texas Chainsaw all the way up till now. I mean, the final girl has been one of those recurring themes in a horror movie that not a lot of people get tired of. Like there's a lot of them that people do get tired of, like the cat jump scares. That's old, outdated, but like the final girl, that's
Yeah.
a staple in the world of horror, and it still
Yeah.
works all the way to today because nowadays, like they make movies where you don't know who's going to be the last one standing, and a
Yeah.
lot of times it tends to be the girl that starts off real timid, and then, like you
Mhm.
said, becomes a badass by the end and survives it all. And like I said, I just thought that, like I said, looking back at a past interview that you had mentioned that that's where you get some of the influence. I just wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit.
I think it with Final Girls, they have this confidence that had to be learned, had to be found, which I feel like is, again, just something that's super relatable, um, and it's almost like, it's inspirational in a way too. Um, like, "Oh, that's pretty awesome. I wonder if I could practice those things." Like, obviously, like, not, you know, setting up for battle or whatever, but, in the brain, like, "Hey, maybe I could, conquer this, predicament or what have you." Um,
And that's like another thing is like a lot of the movies you see where the male characters try to be the big bully badass kind of character in your face, and it never works out. But you never
right,
see the quote unquote final girl making the stupid decisions that a lot of people do in horror movies.
right.
And that's what makes them that great of a character. And we'll talk that's going to play a role in the last segment when we do the little questionnaire round. But
Okay.
when we talk about the movies, we're going to talk about a lot about the acting, but that's not all you do in the world of horror. You've also done writing, special effects designer, stuff like that.
Yeah.
How does that compare to being in front of the camera? What is it like being behind the scenes, especially in, like, I would say, an indie tier movie, like with a like not a huge budget or a low budget? How is it working behind the scenes and trying to make it work with the money that y'all have been given and stuff like that?
Right. Um, with my personal work experiences, I have had a lot of boss jobs, a lot of managerial work, and I can look at those situations with those kind of lenses in a way. So, managing projects and whatnot, I feel like I kind of have a strong hand in. And doing things behind the scenes kind of, I feel like they can relate in some ways, but also, you do get creative freedom when you're in front of the camera, but behind the camera is where you really can help, like, the director, um, and even, co-stars, brainstorm and really make memorable moments. And, whether that be through, writing, editing, um, through makeup, even just, I'm kind of known as set mom, um, because I'm always harping on people to hydrate and make sure they're eating and just, just checking up on folks and lending a hand if we need a boom or whatever. Um, but um, yeah, I think I enjoy all of those because of the brainstorming that you can do and help inspire things.
And that's one of the things for me is like depending on the subgenre, like you get a lot of the trauma like films that are just
Yeah,
unnecessarily gory and the nudity and stuff like that. A lot of those, just because I know
yeah,
what's coming, I'll look to see who kind of does the effects because there's definitely some that do it much better than others. So preferably I'd watch those films do that. And a lot of people I feel like don't consider what happens behind the scenes. They just see the movie and then call it that. But
mhm.
the other thing was you, like I said, you shuffle back and forth between in front of the camera and behind the camera, and I'm curious as to what is the process you make of deciding which you want to do depending on a film, like doing the special effects and the writing, or do you think, oh, this is something I want to act in? Like, how do you differentiate between which role you want to be when it comes to filmmaking?
Well, typically, if I get to choose, the first thing would be to act. But sometimes because of life and having a family and big girl responsibilities, you don't always have the time to, do the acting. And so I've been fortunate enough to be offered to help in other ways, including the writing, maybe popping in for a day to help with special effects, um, script editing, just anything in general that I'm could do offsite, um, which has been really cool.
Now, I've had some past guests that are kind of along the same lines. They do some background work and they act. Is there a specific type of genre where you watch it, or like if it's like the first movie came out and you find out they're releasing a sequel or something like that? Have you ever had that thought in your mind of, oh, I could have done that better, or like especially in the background, like special effects and stuff like that, that you kind of hoped that they make a sequel to where you have the opportunity to try it at least?
I I haven't really questioned that, like, could I have done it better or, taken a stab at upcoming sequels. I think I end up nitpicking more so of how did they do the thing?
Hmm.
Like how did they get about doing that certain um practical effect? Like that's kind of how I start picking at it. Um, but I really don't find myself looking at things but like I could have done that better. I could have done that better.
And we are going to circle back to the convention scene and stuff like that in a bit, but I do have one more question before we get to that. Again, looking back at a past interview, you described yourself as having Muppet energy. Now, I am I am
Yeah.
I am very curious as to what that exactly means. Like, what is this Muppet energy that you spoke of?
Oh my gosh. So, this is tame, Melissa. This is I just worked all day and I'm exhausted, Melissa. Um, so typically I am very animated. I make all kinds of noises. You will usually hear me talk like Grover a lot. Um
I
and
remember from
just
Screamiverse. Yeah, I was just trying to see, like, I never would have pictured the description of Muppet energy, so I was curious as to on a day-to-day basis what that meant for you. Like, is that something
so
you do in home life too, or is that?
oh, yes. Oh my gosh. There no one is safe. Um, you ever see the GIF of Kermit and he's like, "Ah!"
I have,
That
yeah.
is that's me.
Because I
That is
remember
me.
as I don't
Yeah.
remember if it was you or Morgan that brought the Crackcoon puppet, but as
That was me. Yeah, I
yeah,
borrowed
just
it from
every
Brad,
time I
Bert.
saw you with that puppet, I got a feeling of that energy. That was
Yeah. And the best part is, so, I actually, um my husband and I had a Muppet-themed wedding a couple years back.
okay.
So
How did that work?
it was so cute. So, I had a really good friend of mine officiate the wedding as, like, manning a puppet. So we got officiated by a puppet,
So was he
um,
standing there holding it, or was he behind a table holding
behind
the
a
puppet up?
curtain, behind a curtain, and I walked down to Rainbow Connection, um, there were Muppets all over the tables, there were cardboard cutouts to get pictures with, the cookie table. So, do you know what a cookie table is?
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is a Pittsburgh thing. It's a Pittsburgh
Okay.
thing. At weddings, there is a cookie table, and it's literally just a big ass table with cookies. Like family members make them all, but basically that's your dessert thing. Like you munch on it or whatever, but it's at every
Okay.
wedding. Anyways, the cookie table had Statler and Waldorf on an audio loop heckling you while you were getting your cookies.
Oh, that sounds
Behind
incredible.
it was great.
Yeah. See,
So like, yeah.
this is the kind of wedding that I feel like most people should have. It's something above
I
and like not
know.
normal. The normal ones
It
are
was
boring. You
so
go to and it's
fun.
the same kind of thing. But no, that sounds like it would have been a lot of fun.
It was a blast. It was a blast. But yeah, that's between that and just friends just we're talking like you are seriously a human Muppet. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna start owning it. It's on
Like,
my LinkedIn. Like
so hearing this kind of makes me think there was I wish there was a gag reel or something for a lot of these movies because I feel like especially the ones where you had a bigger role in. I feel like there would have been a lot of that behind the scenes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's a good time. It's a good time.
So now I've kind of do this with each of the guests, especially the ones I met at Screamiverse, because
Mhm.
I've been in that convention scene and saw what it was like having that many people show up.
Yeah.
Um, what are some of the best stories you've had from doing conventions, meeting fans, and like what are some that's kind of stuck with you over the years and that you'll never forget, something like a fan interaction?
So I only just started doing conventions personally um last year.
Okay.
And yeah, so my first one was Gross Fest 2024. And then I went on and did a couple more, did Acronomicon, did Screamiverse. Just circled back around to do my second Gross Fest. And I absolutely love the convention community. Um it definitely has its ups and downs because humans are humans. And when you get them all in a crowded place and it's commotion and yeah. But, overall, like, I always feel like I meet amazing people and kind of develop convention families, which is kinda cool. Um, and that definitely goes for the guests that I'm either, like, I'm vending beside or being they're also a guest. Um that building those friendships, um, that's extended throughout, whether it be seeing each other on sets or, just your normal doom scrolling, "Oh, I thought of you. Here, I'm gonna send this." Like,
That was one of the
um,
things I noticed is two of my previous guests. I had Pat Miller on. He came in
yeah,
studio and did it. And then I had Mischief come on.
yeah,
And they both said along the same lines. It's like the people you meet and the people that'll actually travel to see you that far
yeah.
away. And I do think Screamiverse had a big impact for my area, at least, because I mean that's the closest convention we've ever had to the New River Valley Mountain area. Like I know Saturday I'm going to the Mad Monster Expo, but that's like almost a 3 hour drive. But I feel like having something that close and being able to bring in all of you as guests was something very special to the horror fans here. And I know my next guest is going to be Morgan. She's agreed to come in
Oh,
on September. She's going to do an episode with me. So we'll talk about a lot of the same movies that I'm talking about with you tonight. But I mean, it's just when I went to Screamiverse, I knew I wanted to talk to all of you to see if you'd be willing to do Friday nights. Never would I have imagined that all of you would have said yes. Like
hey, we're all
I was
yeah.
hoping for one or two, and then everyone said yes. So I'm like, now I've got a backlog trying to find time to get everybody on to record. But I don't know. I feel like the conventions, like a lot of people don't think they'll be able to meet the people they see on film, and like these conventions, especially in the horror world, like they're so much more tightly packed and close than like if you go to an action convention like a Comic Con or something like that. Horror is horror. So anybody that comes up, they even if they don't haven't seen the movies you're in, they'll walk up to you and kind of find out what it's about and get to know you either way. That way they can say when they do watch it, "Oh, I've met her." That's
Right, right. Um, in regards to getting guests, I'm not going to speak for Mischief or Morgan, but I kinda am. He'll probably agree with me anyways, that, you know, we are, in it for the same things that you guys are in it for. Like, you want to, help share things that you enjoy and, get to interact with people that are on the same vibes as you, you know? And you're only going to get those opportunities by helping each other out, you know?
Yeah, and it's like these episodes that I do, I mean, they go up on the YouTube and the Facebook and everything like that, but we're not monetized. I'm not doing
Right.
it to get paid or anything like that. That's why like I tell people there's no restrictions on language. There's no time constraints, anything like that.
I've been behaving myself. You've
I'm like
only
just
got like shit out of me or maybe ass.
and like I've told
And
people I'm
I
like
had
just I told people like go for it, say whatever you need to say because I mean I'm not that's always been my thing is I'm not looking to get money for this. It's like I'm fascinated with meeting all of you, getting to know all of you, and then for the listeners that are horror fans that aren't able to go to these conventions and stuff, they get to know you a little bit more too, and that's why I've done this, and it helps that I've got a radio station with all this fancy equipment in it that makes it a little easier on me. But yeah, like I don't do this for any gain or anything like that. It's just I'm just, like I said, a huge horror fan, and
Right.
this is something I thought would be fun. And luckily, the bosses said, "Sure, go for it."
That's awesome. Way to go, bosses.
Now we do have a haunted house nearby here. It's called St. Albans Sanitarium.
Nice.
I know the Ghost Hunter booth that was there that did a panel at Streamiverse.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
talked about that they had done an episode here at St. Albans. So we're trying to get them to sponsor it. Then I'll be able to put more episodes out more frequently. But we're still trying to figure that out. We got tech football, which is a big thing around here that's taking up most of the time and priorities. But that's why I'm glad you were able to sit down with me today. I know we originally said 7, pushed it back a little bit, but
oh, no worries.
we're here. We're
Yep,
doing
we're
the Fright
here.
Nights
We're
thing.
doing a thing.
Now, before we get into some of the movies that you have released, which I've got my list here because I wanted to write down the names of the characters you were in, just to get a little more in depth. But we do have some upcoming projects, and the ones I wrote down, we've got Crackula, which sounds hilarious, and then the other one I saw was T-Rexorcist. So those are two I want to ask you about. What can we, without spoiling too much, what can we expect for some of these upcoming films? Especially because like we've had so many Dracula films come out. We've had Blackula. There's been so many variations of it. And what I'm thinking is we're going to have someone as powerful as Dracula doped out on crack. The concept sounds phenomenal, but without spoiling too much, because we want to get them to watch it when it releases. Tell us a little bit about some of the upcoming work you've got.
Oh goodness. So Crackula, you're on the right track, you know. There's a situation that occurs that somebody gets comes across Dracula's and he wakes up and his first meal upon waking up is crack blood. So it goes from there, and it is such a ride. And it actually is premiering at the end of the month.
Okay.
Yeah, so there is a Morgantown, West Virginia, showing. What is that? August 30th, and there is a Thursday, September 4th showing in Euclid, Ohio.
So I'm not far from Morgantown, but I've got to work Saturday night, so I can't make that one. But I'm assuming it'll be available to stream at some point.
I am assuming.
Hopefully.
I know that, yes, I believe it's supposed to be distributed by late fall.
Okay.
Typically after the premieres, Fuzzy Monkey Films is pretty good with getting it distributed and the physical copies out there. Like contributors and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really, really excited for these premieres. I can't wait to see the final product. It was so fun to film with. Cast was great. Fuzzy Monkey Films has always been very good to me, and that's a big heart, big family there that I can't wait.
Just based off title alone, like I had just watched Crackcoon, and then you got Crackula. It sounds like it's going to be phenomenal. Now, the other one I wrote down, I'm sure there's more, but just name alone that it sounded interesting was the T-Rexorcist.
Yes.
So what can you tell us about that one?
So that one, it is so ridiculous. You've got a significant person that somehow finds a way to do things that make them spooky, ? And there's things that happen. But no, it is, I've got to look at the script, and if you follow Fuzzy Monkey, and you know that a lot of it is comedy driven.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a goofy one. I can't wait to see how it gets pulled off, just because of the thought of using a T-Rex is gonna be phenomenal.
And like I said, it's just those two really I wanted to make sure I
Yeah.
wrote down just because of the
Yeah.
name. Like they sound hilarious
Yeah.
and
I've been
something that I
pushing
definitely want to watch.
I've been pushing Brad to start working on T-Rexorcist for a couple years now because he's like, "Hey, look at this script." And, like, "You wanna help me edit it and whatnot," and, like, just things like that, and, I kept saying, "When are we doing T-Rexorcist? When is T-Rexorcist happening? When is it happening?" Um, so finally, I get what I want.
Now, before we jump into the movies I did watch, and like I said, going into these, there's if I ask a question and it kind of leads you down a rabbit hole, feel free to take it all the way through because, like I said, you're gonna know more about them than I do, having watched
Okay.
them. But I'm that's why I try to make these episodes more conversational instead of question and answer. That way, it's not like every other podcast. But we're gonna get into that a little bit. But before I do that, I'm gonna add, since Morgan's my next guest, I'm gonna ask her this same question at some point.
Sure.
But my question for you is like you've mentioned that there's been a lot of women that you've worked with that you've had a lot of fun filming and producing movies with.
Yeah.
Since she's going to be my next guest, specifically her, has there been a specific movie, a scene, or if there hasn't been, is there something that you would like to do film wise with her that you just haven't had the chance yet? Like, is there something that like a memory you'll always have working with her? And like I said, I'm going to ask her this exact same question next episode when we sit down.
Um, I will say our time together with Killer Campout Part 2, um, it was a lot of fun because the first time we worked together, I was AD and didn't have the same amount of time to really get to know each other. And so, Killer Campout gave me that chance to um, make that friendship grow more. And just the bantering between scenes during Killer Campout was always fun. And we have the same type of humor, which helps. Both two smart asses.
I kind of got
Roast
that during
and yeah.
Screamiverse when y'all had the panel together up there. Yeah.
And, yeah, like, there hasn't been a time that, um, when Morgan and I are together that it's not memorable, so, like, she's awesome.
And that was one of the things like when we solidified that me and you were doing this episode, I was trying to
Yeah,
plan out how I wanted the next couple of guests to be. And I'm like, well, it's got to be Morgan because you guys have been in so much that I've watched for the interview with you
yeah,
together that it's just fitting that I have her on next to kind of talk about some of the same things and just get kind of a different perspective from it.
yeah.
And before we jump into the movies you that I was able to watch that you were in, I've been trying to decide how I wanted to organize what the order we were going to talk about them in. I'm going to let
Eh.
you decide.
Oh, no.
So the first option was the order I watched them in, which I looked on IMDb and the message you had sent me on Facebook, and I kind of went chronologically the order they were released. The
Okay.
other I was going to talk about possibly was the order of the amount of time you had in the film.
Ooh,
So I'm going to leave it up to you. I got them written down here just so I could remember your character's name and stuff like that. But
yeah.
I'm going to leave it up to you as the which order you want to do.
Let's do the time. I think that's
The time
different.
that you were in them.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
different.
So the first two for that order, they're damn near close, but we're gonna start with Crackcoon. Just because the
Yes.
IMDb lists you not by name, it's just cadaver. We're gonna so
Yep.
we're gonna which I feel like out of all of the movies, that was probably my second favorite that I watched preparing for this interview. And we'll get into the other one a lot later. Just that's actually coming up next. But
Yeah.
there's a story behind that one. But yeah, Crackcoon was just wild. And I watched the whole
Yes.
movie and then I looked at IMDb's trivia section and I didn't even realize I didn't even catch what they had put for the trivia. It was that I don't remember the actress's name, but she was coming out of the shower and she had the teddy bear and it had
Yeah.
white powder on its nose. And apparently that was a reference to Cocaine Bear. I didn't even notice that. But the role in that, like it took a while to build up
Yeah.
to the actual raccoon getting into the drugs.
Yeah.
And before the raccoon got the drugs is when we had you in the movie.
Yeah.
and it kind of was still showing the effects of this new strain of crack that they were having. And it was orange, wasn't it? And like,
Yes.
yeah. So what was it like trying to, I mean, like I said, the little bit that you were in the movie, that kind of role that it was of the drugs sending everybody into a rage. And because in
Yeah.
my head, when I saw you and the guy that was there
Yeah.
both doing it, and then you both started getting in a rage, I thought, oh, they're going to work together. But no, it's just everybody that's in their path gets taken out. So what was it like being in that kind of film where you had to play that kind of role?
Oh my goodness. So, um, this was one of those situations where I wanted to be more involved, but just my schedule wasn't happening. And Brad had asked me if I knew anybody that was available to do some special effects on somebody that was going to be playing a cadaver. And I was like, well, what's the day, the time, whatever? And he, gave it to me. I'm like, actually, I can make this work, if it's between this time and this time. And he's like, "All right, awesome. Yeah, you do, like the incisions and whatnot? Can you do cadaver makeup?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll make some reference photos, whatever, and figure it out." And he's like, "Well, actually, do you just want to do the makeup on yourself? And this could be like a cameo." And I'm like, "Hell yeah!" So that's how that happened.
And
And
that's
that
the
was yeah,
and so that was one of the later movies I watched. That's always one of my favorite
yeah,
things about prepping for Fright Nights is I watched the first movie that's like
yeah.
on the list or whatever, and then I see a role in that, and then each movie after that, I'm just sitting there waiting. I'm like, all right, when is so and so going to show up? And then I'm like, oh, there she is. And I wasn't expecting the death to happen that fast. Well, like I said, I try
Yeah.
not to spoil the newer
It's
movies
okay.
as much as I can, but no, I
If you
think
haven't
the
seen it yet, then that's your fault.
I think the concept is incredible. And who did the puppet work for that movie?
Oh my gosh, I think the majority of it was, the actual puppeteer was Michelle Bowser.
Okay.
Um, she plays, like, the receptionist, um, in Crackcoon. Like,
At the police station?
at the police station getting all the
Okay.
weird phone calls,
Yeah.
that's her. She manned the puppets a lot. I'm gonna be honest, I cannot think of who designed the puppet at this time. But I could tell you Michelle has been up that raccoon's ass more than we can count
And
since she was getting
there's
that
a lot
together.
about like the horror comedy genre that I really enjoy, just like just how they're kind of gonna try and make it funny. And I think
Yeah,
Crackcoon did a phenomenal job with it. And the first one that really stood out to me was the scene you were in.
yeah.
You had the white drug dealer walk up, and it they
That
just they
wasn't me. That's the funny thing is that even wasn't me. So, no, you are not the only one. So, that actually is another Pittsburgh actress, Carly Sonnefeld. Um,
Okay.
Yet literally, I am just cadaver. I wasn't even supposed to be her. We are two completely different crackheads.
Well, my Fright
And
Night's reputation's right out the window right now. My
that is
research is
but
flawed,
no,
but
but it's great because Carly's mentioned that there are people that notice that are like, "Oh, well, why is your hair a different color in this scene?" And she's like, "That's not me." But yeah, that's hilarious. Um, that's okay. That's okay. Shout out to Carly. Love you. Boop.
when it's like the comedy
Um,
part of that, like I said, that threw me off
yeah.
was you got a white guy walk up and he's like, "What's up, mate?"
Yeah.
And then I'm like, "You can't
Yeah.
no." I'm like, and then the other one that really threw me off was the when the gay drug dealers were driving up. And it's just the interaction when they got pulled over, and you've got the one older cop being like, "Oh, well, make sure you send videos and stuff like that." I'm like, "What?" This is just awkward. And like the acting itself was
Oh,
phenomenal, but it's just the whole
I
situation. I'm like, I I could definitely imagine cops doing that. That's something just trying to get them on their way, but still playing along to the bit there.
yeah.
And then it's like just some of the kills were wild.
Hilarious.
Like
The puppeteering involved with some of the kills, It's just dying. You laugh through the whole thing.
And it's like my coworker, because he was helping me with the Virginia Tech show we had going on. He was looking on IMDb at like some of the photos from the movie, and it
Yeah.
was that very first kill from the raccoon with the drug dealer, and it's
Yeah.
biting him in his crotch. And Nate, my coworker, he looked at me. He's like, "Is he fucking the raccoon?" I'm like, "No, no, that's not. That's not what's happening here." But it's just like you could clip any part of this movie, and people are gonna be like, "The fuck is going on?" This is
Exactly. It is such it's such a ride. It is such a ride.
And it's like so it was after Morgan and her boyfriend, that
Yeah.
scene. It was the next couple. And you got the
Okay.
one dude that's using the bathroom.
Yeah.
And there's the scene where his face ends up in the toilet and then he just
Yeah.
spits it out. I'm like, who thinks of this?
You know what though? A lot of that shit, like literally and figuratively, gets figured out like during filming. Like there's a lot of improv on set, and it's either just keeping the camera rolling and catching those lovely moments, or it's like, it'd be funny if you spit it back out. Literally, those are the type of conversations. It's like, all right, we're gonna get a take of this.
But my favorite line in the whole movie was the guy that played Morgan's boyfriend.
Yeah.
When he dies, he says, "Jeepers creepers, he ate my peepers," and that's it. And that's
And I bet you any money that was totally Tim just improving because he is insane. The things that come out of his mouth is ridiculous.
Now, before we drift away from Crackcoon, is there anything about the film that you want to bring up that I might have missed for the listeners? Again, without spoiling too much.
Sure.
I mean, we're not at that point where it's still fresh enough where we're not going to say fuck them, let them deal with the spoilers. No, we're not going that far. But
Right. So, without saying too much, and if you've never seen the movie yet, you cannot compare it to Cocaine Bear because it does not give you meaningless subplots. It is just fun.
It's
You
just a
need to
cracked out
be
raccoon killing
ready
people.
for fun. That's all. That's all. You should just expect fun and watch it. Do it.
And now I know you mentioned to me that it was on Screambox. That's where I watched it.
Yeah.
Is it available anywhere else, or is it strictly Screambox?
I know right now Screenbox, maybe so, question mark. I know that there are physical copies wandering the web, as well,
Okay.
or
And
find them
now
at
we're
your local conventions.
and now we're gonna move on to the second movie. And this one, once I found out what kind of horror film it was, I thought, oh, I'm gonna hate this. But then it's just like, again, with it being a comedy horror, the acting was phenomenal. I'm like, this is one of the best movies I've seen in a while. And it was a paranormal documentary.
Yeah.
Me and like
Yeah.
the viewers, if they watch past episodes, they'll know this. I despise found footage films. I can't stand them.
Got
And
it.
I went into this movie thinking, oh, I'm gonna hate this. And it's just I don't remember. I looked up his name before we started this episode, but I can't remember the guy that the main actor in that. The
Oh,
doctor, whatever the character's
Dr.
name was.
Primo?
Yeah. His acting in that made it tolerable to start. And then when the spooky stuff started happening, I'm like, oh, I fucking love this. This is this is incredible.
Oh
Because
my god, yeah.
a lot of the found footage is like you had the Blair Witch, which was good because at that point it was the first of its kind. People were like, oh, this is a true story. After that, with like when you get into Paranormal Activity VHS, it kind of falls off the rails and it's just trying to squeeze out the found footage theme.
Yeah.
This, I feel like this could be something a couple of idiots would walk into the woods and try to discover and film it. Like it legitimately, like Blair Witch, seemed like it was real, and that's why I fell in love with it. And like I said, this is another one where you weren't in it much, but at the end, the last, I think it was like 10 minutes of the movie was so drawn out, and it was perfect.
It was so drawn out.
Because like just the final death, it was so like it took forever. And then just like the little quips he would throw in during it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And IMDb just lists you as cult leader.
Yeah.
Which I'm curious as to how you managed to get that role and get into the persona of a cult that eats people, and
Yeah.
like how did you get into that mindset, being the Muppet person, as you had said in the previous, like I feel like that's a different personality than
Yeah.
Kermit and the kind of humor that you put into the other films we're going to talk about.
Right. So, yeah, Dr. Primo, aka Thirsty Motherfucking D. Um, Darren Ricci, he is one crazy motherfucker. And he is actually he's the one that got me and Brad Twig connected. So I
Okay.
worked with Darren on Sideling Hill. That was my first set for special effects makeup. So I was helping them finish that movie. And then, he introduced me to Brad, and that's how I got on the death board and blah 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 blah. And a paranormal documentary, him and Maddie, um, big boy Maddie with the 12-inch meat patty. Um, they this was a guerrilla film, like just no script and just like, hey, we're gonna find these cool spots. We know some beats we want to hit, but we're just gonna wing it. So everything that came out of Darren's mouth was improv and just
Well,
going
I
off.
don't mean to interrupt. That was
Yeah.
before I'll let you get that was one of the
Sure.
things that I was going to ask you about, is
Yeah.
because especially when they started getting to the tunnel and there's all the dicks drawn on the wall, I was like,
They
when
were
he
there
when he when he
already.
started when he started saying that, like, this is some dick worshiping cult and stuff like that, I'm like, is this part of the script or is he improving? Because I'm like, if he's improving, this is phenomenal.
Oh yeah, he improved it, and literally it was just finding, you know, penis-shaped graffiti everywhere. And like there were props, like, some physical props that he had that is in his inventory. But literally just like, hey, let's go film in that tunnel and just wing it, and oh look, there's a penis. We're gonna film that. Literally, that's just how they filmed it.
And it's
And
like every time
it's
another
so
they found another drawing, he's like, "See, this is
yeah.
another example of." I'm like, "This is phenomenal!" Like, like that's another thing. Like, I feel like people don't give indie films enough credit because
Yeah.
they think of the mainstream stuff like Scream, Friday the 13th, stuff like that. The indie
Yeah.
films can do a lot with what they're given, and like that's why I said
Yes.
this movie. Like, I looked up the budget price. I don't remember what it was now, but like it wasn't a big money ticket movie, and like they still made
No.
it phenomenal. Like, it looked like it could be something you'd go to theaters and see, and especially for me, being someone that hates found footage,
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and that's like out of the ones that I watched for this, it was probably my second favorite out of the ones I watched preparing for this.
Oh, really? All
It
right.
was up there.
Okay.
It was a damn good movie, and like I said, it just the fact that, like, now that I know most of it was improv just makes it that much better. Because these mainstream movies, they don't have the opportunity to just wing it and throw something in there, because then
Yeah.
they got to redo it. But like these indie movies, like, they can do whatever they want. And
Right. And like I was asked to be a cult leader. Um so Darren, he knows that like I like to try to expand my chops, try to try different things. And I think playing more serious, like sinister roles is can be therapeutic because like I I'm not like that in real life. I'm not, I am a pretty kind person and I am fairly patient. But um it's really cool to be able just like to flip a switch and be a complete opposite of what you really are. And if if it comes off natural, then that's even better.
like I said, like I was thinking, like, the entire time that it was going to be kind of a supernatural film.
Yeah.
That's the way it was portrayed in the beginning, and then at the end, there's just you and the other cult members that are cannibals, and I'm like, well, this is a plot twist, but I'm here for it. This,
Yeah.
and like I said,
Right.
the drawn out death of his was just hilarious at the end, because
Well, the best part, yeah.
at some points I couldn't tell if he was crying, if he was laughing. It's just the way the acting. I'm like, this is awesome.
It what cracks me up is, like, even while filming it, and I'm like, "When are they gonna say cut? When are they gonna say cut? This is too long. Like, you're gonna trim this down, right?"
It was perfect the way it was. They didn't need to trim it down. That was phenomenal. All right, we're gonna move on to the next one. I'm trying to. My list is all out of order here.
You're good.
We're gonna go Legend of Crickfoot, where
Okay.
you were due,
Yes.
and another one. This one wasn't too high up in my list because again, the
That's
found
okay.
footage thing, and it was much slower than paranormal documentary. But again,
Sure.
I'm a big cryptozoology fan.
Yeah.
Like I just recently watched Frogman, phenomenal movie, and this one had it had its perks.
Yeah.
Again, with the whole cryptozoology thing, I just could not get behind the idea of a Bigfoot that was after hot dogs. That concept, as wacky as it is, which I usually love, I'm like this.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can get behind this, but again, the movie itself wasn't bad. It was a little slower, but I liked
Yeah.
the concept of being a mockumentary. That makes it being a found footage a little bit better. It's not just people recording. It's supposed to be a documentary on Crickfoot. And again, this is
Right.
another one where you didn't have a lot of screen time, but the screen time you did, I thought was hilarious because I
Thank
wasn't
you.
expecting the movie to pull out. There's a whole group of people that are romantically interested in Crickfoot, and yours the whole kind of the hippie namaste kind of
Yeah.
aspect to your interview. I enjoyed that a lot. And how did it? What was it like trying to do the mockumentary type of thing?
So when, I got cast for this, I got to make my own character. And, it's like, hey, you can pick these certain, you know, um, areas that you want to cover. But, as long as you either tell a story or, something along the lines that goes along with Crickfoot and you know that he likes hot dogs where he lives, whatever. And I was thinking, I'm like, it would be really funny if I was a really bad artist that found like their spark, their inspiration through an interaction with Crickfoot and just m- I m- made the drawings for my character. So while I was making these goofy ass drawings, um that's where I'm like, it would be so funny if like I was, like in my like tie-dye rompers or whatever and like really giving like um what the heck the first grade Billy Madison teacher, Miss Lippy, like
Yeah.
Miss Lippy vibes in a way. Um that it would be a fun execution. And again, something I haven't done on film yet. So like, hey, we'll
I know.
just try to
I
see what
personally thought
happens.
the drawings weren't bad at all. They better
Thank
than
you.
anything I could have ever done. I can
Thank
barely
you.
draw a stick figure. That's
I do love sketching. I love sketching. I love drawing. Again, just another way to be creative. But no, the second one that I call temptation, where like the tongue is
yeah.
like along. Oh my god, I was so giddy while I was drawing it.
All right, we're gonna jump to the next one, and this
Sure.
one, these last three, it was hard picking which one I was gonna go into next based on time period wise. But we're gonna
Okay.
go with Inheritance, where you played
Okay.
Josie.
Okay.
That was another one where I've always been a big fan of the horror films where there's a cult that's
Yeah.
trying to get something done, and this one was a big part of that. They were got into this house. The uncle, I think it was in this
Hmm.
cult, summoned a demon.
Yeah.
Not very demon-esque, but it fit for what the movie was.
Yeah.
And the cast in that film,
Ah,
like the filming wise, it was you could tell it was a low budget film, but
yeah.
the acting was really good.
Yeah.
And we'll just feel like I said, you'll be able to give better details than I do. Again, without it's an older film, so if we spoil, we're not as concerned
Yeah.
tonight about
Like
that.
it's
But
what,
kind
like
of
5 years old now?
yeah.
Something like that? Yeah.
Well, you want to talk about like the process of that and like kind of give a synopsis of the film because even though I've watched it, being a part of the making, you'll probably
Yeah.
be able to tell it better than I will.
Sure. And knowing that it was a low to yeah, it was a pretty low budget. Um and the cast really consisted of friends, just helping a friend trying to make a film and trying to make a passion project. And Justin Eisenberg, he's one that he does like a lot of spaghetti westerns and stuff.
Okay.
But he's had experience behind the camera. But a lot of the cast, it was just like, I'm just doing this for Eric because he's my friend, and yeah, I'll be in a movie. Why not? Um, and with that role, um, it was again a little more of a serious situation and not so much a comedy. Um, and I was also doing some special effects on that as well. So like, and working with Eric, he he's always been pretty easy to work with, and um, knowing my set mom things,
Ah,
he's always willing to learn and keep trying new things. So yeah, it's kind of like helping each other out, and yeah, I remember that um, trying to think, the without trying to give away too much stuff, but a scenario where I may have been in peril, um, getting a certain stunt done. I got to help with that. I got to help with that. That made me happy. So a thing that went to home, that was actually me.
And you talk about it being a little bit more of a serious role for this one too.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to make sure I've got my characters correct. Your character was the one that was in the sort of abusive marriage
Yeah.
and one of the
And
yeah.
best part is that my abusive boyfriend is my husband now. He he the poor he was also like the guy with the gas mask on in the cult for
Okay.
paranormal documentary. He that was our first little like screen time together. But he always ends up getting like typecast as like abusive asshole. And it's hilarious. Because he's actually like a sweetheart, and
I think
yeah,
we've got two more.
sure.
The next one I think I'm going to do is the arm wrestling roulette film,
Okay.
which that was the first one I watched when I started doing the research. And that one, you were Audrey the Nightingale,
Yes.
which I wasn't expecting the plot twist at the end of that. We can
Right.
spoil this one all the way through. The
Sure.
listeners have gotten enough sparing as of now. Um, the whole concept was interesting to me. And
Yeah.
I don't know how much of the background you know about that, but how was it that they came up with the concept of an underground arm wrestling competition where if you lose, you have to play Russian roulette?
I feel like between Eric and Greg um working on that script together, I think it's just them being just having it'd be kind of cool. There was an underground arm wrestling tournament, but like you almost die. Like I could just see them just like coming up with it and then just throwing um ideas to each other. But ultimately, I don't know exactly where it came from. I could just see them just being like, "Hey, this sounds kind of cool. This sounds pretty badass. Let's try it out."
Now, this next question is more of a personal one because
Sure.
I thought it was hilarious that the main character kept referring to you as Pussy Willow. In real life, how
Yeah.
annoyed would you get if somebody started calling you Pussy Willow as opposed to Melissa or something else?
So the bad thing is, I would probably be fine with it only because um of Serial Mom. Have you seen
Okay.
Serial Mom?
I've heard the name. I've not seen it yet.
Oh my god! Put that on your list.
Let
Serial
me find a
Mom,
pen. I will write this down now.
it is a work of art. It is
I'm
so
assuming we're talking
funny.
serial killer. Serial,
No.
not
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay.
It's a John Waters movie. Um, and it is hilarious. And there is a reference to Pussy Willows, and I don't wanna spoil it for you. I want you to enjoy it.
I
But
no, I
just
will
yeah,
depending on when, like I said, with the release of the upcoming films, I'll
yeah.
definitely try to get you back on as a guest again to talk about those. And if I do, I'll make sure to mention that I watched Serial
You
Mom, and then we
better.
can
You
go into more
better.
detail about that.
You've got homework. You've got homework.
I
But
do.
yes, because of Serial Mom, I would probably be totally fine with it.
But it's just like as I was watching the film the first time he called you that, I'm like, where did he come up with that? Like, like I can understand some people giving nicknames based on a personality or like something that's in the
Yeah.
general area. That one just came out of left field, and then at the end of the movie, you're like, stop calling me Pussy Willow.
Right. Well, I think that the thing was because he thought, like, whenever I said, like the nightingale, and it's like, oh, like a flower. Like, no, dumbass, it's a bird.
I
Like,
remember that
so it's
part too.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's like, oh, like a flower. Pussy Willow. I'm gonna start calling you Pussy Willow.
And that was another one where just the concept was so outlandish that I couldn't help but enjoy the film, especially because the cabin that they were training in was just, I'm like, I was like, one, the scene before that, he left his phone on his bed and then left. So he spent
Yeah.
a month in the woods without a phone. It was still in his house and all that. I'm like, he could have gotten another match in that month and not have known it. The concept was interesting, but that's another one of those where, like, especially with like the low budget, the B tier films, I
Yeah.
enjoy watching because I get to argue with myself about why things should have or shouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
And that was another thing. Like, you had a decent role in that. You were the girlfriend that ended up not being the girlfriend, and
Yeah.
the big plot twist at the end. Again, I said not to worry about spoiling it, and I'm still trying to restrain myself, but I don't even remember where I watched that. It was I think I just found it online. I don't know if there was a specific streaming service or not that I found it
I'm
on.
trying to think. Is it on YouTube? I can't remember.
I
I
know it
know.
wasn't YouTube that I watched it. I think
Oh,
it
it might have been Amazon. Was it Amazon?
that is right. I paid for it on Amazon. That's what it was. But now, if you're ready, we'll go to the last one. I feel like you might know what this one is.
Okay, let's do it.
It's Killer Campout Part 2. Now, I watched this one, and with me, my whole challenge and research for the podcast, I had to watch the first one first.
Got it.
The second one was a great improvement to the first film.
You don't
Just
even have to watch the first one to
yeah.
enjoy the second one. Yeah.
The first one gave a little bit of background on how the killer actually is in the second movie, of why he looks like he does.
Yeah.
But that was another one where you had a big role in that. Morgan was also in it.
Yeah.
And it's just the concept of that. I feel like the idea of a summer camp or a camp and the serial killer has been used quite a bit. But the reason that y'all are in the camp was a new twist on the theme. There's something going on in your life that either went to jail or something else happened, and this is kind of your redemption arc going to this camp. And I thought that concept was great. And was that, other than Crackcoon, was that the most recent that's been released for you, or that's streamable?
That's in regards to like larger roles. Yes, I have done a couple other things. There is a documentary called Destroy All Humans.
I
It
was
is
going to
a
bring that up
30-minute
too, because
documentary.
the AI band concept sounded very interesting to me. I just,
Yeah.
with everything going on, I didn't get the chance to watch that. So I was going to ask you about that, but we'll get to that one a little bit later. Some of the stuff I didn't get to
Sure.
see.
But
But what was it
there's
like?
that.
What was it like being in Killer Campout Part 2? Working with Morgan again, and
Yeah.
just the way it all played out, the killer and stuff like that, how the set in itself, what was it like being in that film?
I feel that the interactions and the way that um, the characters interacted on screen felt so natural because we were all so comfortable with each other and just vibed really well. The set was um, a great place to be. A lot of, I mean, you're going to have things that, throw wrenches into whatever, whether it be, weather or tech not working or something stupid. There's always going to be little things, but even during some downtimes, it's just the whole vibe being with the cast, um, and just it was fun to be there in general, and, um, it was a nice mix of, um, working with familiar people and meeting new faces, um, and yeah, just it was overall, I loved it. I loved it. Um, sleepy, sleepy for sure. Um, but it was definitely worth it.
And that was one of the things, like, especially in like the last couple of movies I watched where you and Morgan did work together. The chemistry between the two of you when you're acting in the same film, it's gotten better each movie I've seen. And like this movie, the way the characters were cast and stuff like that, there's the interactions y'all had, the conversations, it seemed more natural when it came to acting as opposed to some of the other interactions in the film.
Mhm. Um, like I mentioned before, Morgan is a wonderful human, and with these characters, um, I felt like it was natural, and obviously, um, we adore each other, but not that way. But, it's
See, we'll let the listeners, the viewers, find out what
yes.
that means when they watch it. But
Right,
yeah.
right. Like and knowing that in a way we almost know each other's boundaries too and know, you know, how we want to be respected. And so that just makes things comfortable when I work with them. And, like kind of how I touched on before, same humor, we're both gross little, hermits. So it just works out. Um, but yeah, I would love to do another project with them.
And that was another thing, like you mentioned, you her knowing the boundaries and everything else. I feel like in indie films, that's a bigger importance than like a lot of the main films you get. Either if you don't want to do a certain thing in the role, they find somebody else. In the indie films,
Yes.
like when I talked to Mischief back when she was doing Slumber Party Massacre, there's a
Mhm.
scene where they told them all to get topless. She doesn't do topless, so they didn't make her do it. They worked her character
Right.
around not wanting to do that. And I feel like with indie films, you get more liberty to be like, "Hey, I don't do this," and then they're like,
Mhm.
"Okay, well, we can build your character around that." It gives them more opportunity. Where these mainstream films, they're like, "Well, we'll find somebody else then." That's another reason I've
Right.
enjoyed watching indie films is because you can kind of see the liberties taken by the actors as opposed to just being told, "Hey, do it this way," or don't do it at all.
Right. Right.
And
Um,
so that's gone through the ones I watched, which I feel like that was a decent amount in the time that we've been communicating back and forth
yeah.
trying to plan this. Now there was a few I couldn't find. And
Okay.
first we're going to start about the AI one that you had mentioned before.
Sure.
Well, I that one I didn't have time to get to. You think it was on YouTube, you said it was?
Yes.
So talk a little bit about, since I haven't watched it, it's all new to me. You can kind of go over what that one was about because I know it was about AI. You were in a fictitious band, which I'm very
Yeah.
interested in hearing about.
Yeah. So, I met Phil, the director, just through social media. Like, hey, I'm looking for people that can fake playing instruments, playing drums for this social experiment documentary I'm doing. And luckily, my husband, thanks, Brian, has instruments, including a full acoustic drum set. And I was like, hey, I do know music. I can fake play drums. And if I listen to it enough and like, my husband who can play drums kind of gives me some pointers, we can work something out. And so not only did I get hired, but the drum set also got hired. um, no, it was cool because the concept behind it is I want to make this band and I want to see how long it takes for people to realize that this isn't adding up. Like there's 2 music videos, that were made, and one was meant to look a little polished, but then start getting a little messy, and then with the second one, we were just having fun and being goofy, And it was very interesting to see how many people thought it was a real thing. Like, we had fake names, it was like a whole thing, like, there's an Instagram, like, and it was a very interesting social experiment and how people, reacted when they found out that it was all AI. That well, the lyrics were actually written.
Okay.
The music, is what it was, like, AI generated, with prompts and whatnot, but the actual lyrics were from, like, the high school band that Phil was in years
So
back.
that's one of our things too. Is with us being a radio station, we've kind of dabbled in the AI and see how far we can go before the listeners catch on. I don't think
Yeah,
they fully catch on, and if they're listening now, they're gonna know. But we do a show every Monday called Metal Monday, where we do an hour of metal music based on a certain theme.
yeah,
And a couple months ago, we did a kawaii theme, which is Japanese metal. So we
yeah,
had an AI generator come up with a Japanese intro for the show, and we had so
yeah.
many people message us saying, "Who was that you had on the air doing the Japanese intro?" I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
We can't tell you who it was, but yeah, it was all AI generated, and nobody could tell the difference. They thought it was actually somebody sitting here in the studio speaking Japanese.
And, the message that Phil, you know, has in the documentary, I feel like can resonate with everybody at this point. It's 30 minutes, it's very digestible, and, I thought it was really well done. It was an interesting thing to be a part of.
All right, so there were, I think, two more that I wasn't able to find that I did want to talk about. The first was one you told me I wouldn't be able to find to stream anywhere, and that was Deathboard. And you mentioned it a
Yes.
little bit earlier tonight. I read the kind of IMDb description, which was relatively vague, but kind of
Yeah.
for those that I said are watching and listening that can't stream it, which since it's not streamable, we're not as worried about spoilers. So kind of give us a little bit about what Deathboard was about, because the poster itself for the movie cover looked very interesting. The person falling out of the building and
Yeah. So Death Board it falls under the Ouija board, like, slasher movies, supernatural things going on, and, that one, it it starts off with your typical, like, oh, like a sleepover overnight with a bunch of girlfriends, let's play with Ouija board, all hell goes loose kind of scenario. You know, it's always it's one of those, like, your, uh, what's that word I wanna use? Like, comfort food, kinda like, like, you're gonna you know what you're in for, but you're gonna enjoy it kinda thing. Um,
that's
but
honestly
that
one of
yeah.
the versions of horror I like is the movies where if they just left shit alone, that nothing would
Yeah,
happen. Like
exactly!
Cabin in the Woods, the biggest
I love
indicator of
that
that. If
movie,
they
I
just
love it.
didn't touch shit, nothing would have happened. They'd have been fine. But no, I love that kind of horror movie. So this is just already sounding great to me.
And, that movie is fairly sentimental to me because that was my first feature, um, and having, like, a lead role in my first feature, that was interesting, but it was a lot of fun. I really, it was a learning experience. Again, just starting those connections with people in the community, and I still have like really good friends from that set.
I said, hopefully we'll at some point be able to watch it and stream it somewhere.
I
But
mean, if you, we can talk and I can get you a copy, a
okay,
physical
yeah,
copy,
okay.
physical media.
No, I get in my apartment. I've got a wall of physical DVDs. I'm a big fan of having a physical copy instead of streaming it somewhere. And like same thing with video games, stuff like that. I've got shelves of stuff I've collected over the years. But no, I would love that. And we got one more, which
Yeah.
I tried to find today. But I could not. It was the House That Eats Flesh,
Mm.
which is another one.
So,
Just by the name alone, it sounds like it would be something I'm very interested in. But I tried for at least an hour to try and find it and could not for the life of me find it anywhere.
that's because it is not out yet.
Not out yet.
It is no.
Okay.
Unfortunately, there has been a lot of delays with the film, including it getting passed over from one distribution company to another. The
I did
last
see
thing,
a Reddit
yes,
post about the director saying that it got sold after it was made, but I didn't realize it hadn't been released yet because
yeah,
IMDb is saying 2023. That's why I looked so hard to find it.
yeah, it's not out for distribution yet.
Okay.
From what I was told, hopefully fourth quarter of this year. We'll see. But that was my first time as AD. And that's where I did a lot of like we had to do a lot of script editing and I did have an acting role in that as well. And it was my first long distance um, set. I have
Okay.
never had to take a plane to go do work. So that was an interesting experience. That's where I met Morgan and other friends, like Sushi Booty, Angel Bradford, and Lydia Manson. Uh, like everybody was great. Where I got to work with Lisa Wilcox. That was a dream come true for sure. Having like conversations with her, little one-on-one moments. That was like I still could cry just from having
Yeah.
those experiences. So I'm hoping to see it very soon, and but I am very grateful that I still got to do it. It was insane, but the results from it have been awesome.
And like I was saying, like just from the name alone, like again, it's along the
Yeah,
lines of Crackcoon and Crackula, it sounds like something that I would definitely want to see. And hopefully when it does come out, I'll be able to watch it. And like I said, in the future, I mean, like I said, we've got a couple of movies not released yet that you've been in, so we'll definitely have to get you back for a part two at some point.
let's
But
do it.
that covers the career portion of things, which means all we got left now is the rapid fire questionnaire. Because my first episode, I tried to do it rapid fire, but a lot of the questions they require some thought. So what we're gonna do is I'll ask the question, we'll get your answer, and then I'll tell you mine.
Sure.
I don't think mine's changed much since the Mischief episode, but we'll see. I'm thinking on the fly as well. But this is going to be kind of just generic horror questions, trying to get your opinion on what you think is the best so and so and stuff like that. So if you're ready, we'll jump in with the first one.
All right, let's go.
Number one is your favorite horror movie of all time.
Oh, it is. Oh man, Elm Street. It's got to be Elm Street. If I
Well, now
had
I
to
got to
be
ask which one.
specific, it would have to be between 3 and 4.
Okay, so
More so 4. Yeah.
mine is The Devil's Rejects.
Okay.
I'm a
Okay.
big fan of the realistic slashers, the ones of like, oh, this could actually happen, a fucked up family
Yeah.
killing people.
Yeah.
Recently, though, there's been a close second because I think it was last month, I watched Sinners for the first time.
I have not seen that one yet.
It's incredible because
Yeah.
I went into it again with a challenge every English color horror film. I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be another vampire movie. The twist they did with the vampires is phenomenal. I'm not going to spoil it for you. It's taking everything I've got not to spoil it, but we're going to jump into the second one if you're ready.
Okay, let's go.
Second one is your favorite horror franchise, so trilogy and beyond. So at least three or more, at least 3 movies.
At least 3 movies. Like I'll say Elm Street just because it's obvious, but like Scream. Yeah, I really like Scream. I Oh my goodness, this is hard. Trilogies are more. Trilogies.
This is why it's no longer rapid fire. It's a
No,
non-rapid
it's
rapid.
not. It's not. Like AB. Oh man, that's not a trilogy because like again, like I really like anthologies. So like
Okay.
ABCs of Horror and like ABCs of Horror 2, even though it's not a third, but I still
So if it's got 2,
appreciate
we'll
them.
let it slide. We'll let 2
Yes.
slide. Yeah.
Um. And my goodness, I can appreciate some. This is hard. This is because like I really appreciate like I like slashers a lot, and it's like, but I'm trying to think of like.
So I will go ahead and tell you mine.
Sure,
Mine
do
is
it.
the Terrifier
mean,
trilogy.
Oh, what the?
I
Yes,
love
I do
Art the
like that
Clown.
too. Yes, yes.
I've always been
I
a big fan of the killers that never say anything. They're silent the entire time, and David Howard Thornton is phenomenal at playing Art. That's
It takes it. You know what? It takes a real Muppet to be able to act that silent and be
and it's
that
just the
animated.
wild things he does. Like in the first movie, he's got his bag of weapons,
Yeah.
and then when he's getting his ass beat, he just pulls out a gun and shoots her. I'm like, it's just in his sock the whole time.
Yes.
But no, that's my favorite series. Next, you being a Final Girl fan, we're gonna do your favorite Final Girl.
Okay. That's hard. So, I you know what? I really like me some Nev Campbell, Heather Langenkamp, Lisa Wilcox. Those are like my 3.
So for me, it's Ellen Ripley. Just because
Yeah.
consistently it would either be her or Scream, because I like the franchises where it's a consistent final girl in every movie. Like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, they vary between
Yeah.
films. And like at that point, I mean it's still a final girl, but it doesn't have that same punch as going 6 or 7 movies and it's the same final girl every film.
Right.
Now, the next one is the one that's always hardest for me because it's constantly changing because I'm watching so many movies recently. It's your favorite kill.
Oh, man. So there is one that like the first thing that popped in my head. I don't know if it's like my favorite, but it's definitely up there. Have you ever seen Stitches?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
The umbrella.
Okay. I
That
know
that
exactly what.
one.
Yep.
Yes. That one, that it's just so fun. It's so fun. Um, Another one would have to be um Elm Street 5 with Greta. Um, with like being like force fed out of
Yeah.
like these porcelain dolls and just the engorged cheeks. It's just really nasty looking.
So mine, you've seen Bone Tomahawk with Kurt Russell?
I have not.
So without spoiling the film too much, there's one scene, and this is my favorite just because it's one of those that made me go, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Because it's along the lines of what Art did to the first girl in Terrifier 1, where
Yeah.
he hung her upside down, cut her in half. They do this in Bone Tomahawk.
Gotcha.
The Native American group, um, Kurt Russell's in a cage. They've got this guy naked on the ground. They lift him up, and then they use a old fashioned bone axe with like the teeth
Yeah.
as the blades, and the whole thing shown on screen. They saw him in half. I'm just sitting there. It's one of the only kills where I'm like, what the fuck? Like, like most movies don't show the whole process, but no, they showed from crotch to head all the way through. I'm like, no, this is gonna stick with me. All right, next we're gonna go most disturbing horror film you've ever seen, and it could be by any number of reasons. with how weird it is, with how bad the acting is. It can be that disturbing. Just any kind of.
Oh my gosh. What did we just watch recently? Oh my god, this one's hard. Most
So
disturbing.
mine will be it's either Fear Chamber or Fear Factory. It's the Robert Englund film
Okay.
where he would have people live through their fears to get over them, and then fear comes to get them back, and it's got Robert Englund's face on this black slime
Yes,
creature.
I'm trying. I haven't seen that in a really long time. Really long. My goodness, most disturbing. This is hard. Most disturbing. Most disturbing. Uh, this is really because like like again, I always have a hard time like um again like yes, things are disturbing. I'm not insane. But, like, it's like figuring out, like, how are they doing that? Like, what's the trick that's making it make it look that way? Like, that's making it look disturbing. So I'm really having a hard time to be like, "Ugh."
So I have a very
I
close
yeah,
second, but I'm saving that for the next question because
okay,
it's the answer for my next one.
sure. I can't figure it out. Just I pass. I can't do
So
it.
we'll let you pass, but if you
Thank
could
you.
think of
I'm
something,
sorry.
if you think of
I will.
something in the future, message me and I will make a Facebook post on the bear saying we
So
finally got Melissa's answer to
I
this
know.
question. It's
So this isn't the full question, but I will say when it comes to kills, anything with bone protrusion or bone snapping, I have a heart. I'm like,
so
ugh,
hold on
ugh.
to that for this next question.
Okay.
The next one is, and this is one I always had the most fun with because one of my guests, I don't know if you've seen Aqua Slash.
No.
It was Lanisa Dawn. She was the main actress in that. So this next question, and I'll go into more detail about why I told you that, is what is one thing in a horror movie that will give you the ick or weird you out?
The big one's bones.
Yeah.
It's bones and it's fingernails. Like
For me,
the
it's the weird body contortion. Like when a
okay.
limb's the wrong way and then they just snap it back in place. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And the reason I brought up Lanisa, she's like, oh, I got something that'll freak you out then. And she went like this and she touched the tip of her finger to the back of her hand. I'm like, see, that doesn't
Yeah.
do it because I can do that with my thumb and touch the back of my arm. But it's just, and the reason I said a close second for that last question was the movie Malignant.
I haven't seen that one yet.
But the way when without I'm saying this without spoiling it, that way you'll find out later what I meant.
Sure.
When the brother takes over, he twists her arms and legs to face backwards.
Yeah.
And it shows the process of her limbs twisting 180 degrees. I'm like,
Ugh.
nope, no, I can't do it.
It's
And
yeah, like anything with bones, like like I said, the protruding, the breaking, the leg that's not supposed to go this way,
yeah,
like, ugh,
it's like
like
Saw
watching like
3 when the guy was
yeah,
getting his head and arms and legs twisted around, and the other dude had to decide if he wanted to save him. I'm like,
yeah,
I can't watch it. I got two more for you.
sure.
Second to last is your favorite horror actor of all time.
Or actor of all time. Oh man. Um, wow.
So
Horror.
mine is Vincent Price.
Nice. Nice. I feel like and again, it's just because I'm such an Elm Street head and I apologize. This is so boring, but like truly it's Robert Englund. I have problems, okay? I understand. However, um, between just loving how he portrayed that character and also just seeing him in other films and um getting to meet him as a like just as a human and that that stuck with me as a very wonderful memory. Um
That's one of the things. Like he is one of the ones that I would love to meet at a convention at some point because
yes.
like I've got a replica glove that I want to get
Yeah.
signed and like, but like I don't think he's had a bad role. Like even when he was in
Right.
Hatchet 1, when he just had
Yeah.
that brief cameo. him making fun of his son in that country accent. Like, he doesn't have a bad role.
Do you want to hear a fun little story
Of
about?
course.
So, um, he went to Wizard World Con in, I think it was Cleveland or Columbus, Ohio. And this was back probably about 10 years ago. No, 11 years ago. And um I took 2/3 of my kiddos with me. Like I got these tickets. We were gonna go, and I
What
wanted to
was
be.
the third one just not a horror fan or?
Oh, he was an infant. He was an
Okay.
infant, and traveling to Ohio, I'm like, "I'll take the 2 somewhat older ones, we'll dress up, have fun," and because 'cause I'm a big dork, and I got on Facebook, and I messaged Robert Englund's Facebook page. I was like, "Hey, big fan, coming from Pittsburgh, bringing the kiddos, super excited, whatever, just being a dork." And so we're there. I dressed up as I have like a gender bent, um, Freddy Krueger makeup and stuff. Um, my son, my oldest son, he was dressed up as Jason,
Okay.
and my daughter, she was dressed up as like one of the jump rope children with like the red bow, like with the bows in her hair, the dress, whatever. And, so we wait in line, we go up to see him, I give the one helper, like, my name on a Post-it, getting ready for this meet and greet, and the first thing that Robert says is to Caden, my oldest, going, "What's up with Puck Face?" Jason's slow, dumb, and hangs out in cornfields, like, just jagging him for being Jason, but then he completely switched it and was super sweet to them, talking to them about, um, his voiceovers in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as the Dream Beavers, and just a really good interaction. I'm just sitting there like, "Yeah, yeah, talk to my kids, yes." And, he gives my daughter, Lydia, a postcard, and it says, "Hey, hang this over your bed, it'll keep you safe in your dreams." And I'm like, "Oh, that's really cute." And we're getting out of line, and you hear Robert go, "Hey, Lydia, you better watch out. There's a lot of zombies out there." And it didn't hit me until we were like probably like 50 feet away from the table. And I literally stopped and did a 180. I'm like, "No way." Because Pittsburgh area, zombie capital of the world. And Lydia is the only child that I have produced that has willingly gone to Zombie Fest with me. And the fact that he had to have creeped just a little bit on my stuff to make that happen. And it's like,
And it's like you're saying, him as a person
yeah,
outside of the film industry is a reason why he would be in, like, he's one of the people, like a bucket list guest for Fright Nights. And that's like another reason, like Saturday with me going to Mad Monster Expo, there's a lot of guests that are going to be there. But one of the big ones I'm hoping that will agree to do this is Kevin Durant.
yeah,
Just because outside of filmmaking, just all the videos I've seen of him, people meeting him on the street or whatever, he is one of the nicest people that people have interacted with. And I'm like, he looks like he's a big scary motherfucker, but like especially when like Wolverine days and like even now with Abigail, like he's a big dude. But no, I'm very much looking forward to Saturday. But I do have one final rapid fire, non-rap, whatever question for you. And
sure.
it is, if there was a movie or a series or an idea that you have that you think would make a great movie that you would want to be in, what would it be?
Oh, wow.
And it could be a
Uh,
series that's already out, or if there's just been an idea in the back of your head that you think, oh, this would make a good movie, what would it be?
right. I think it would be fun to create something that touches on like a subconscious thriller kind of thing. Um, Kind of like, you're trying to do something like cognitive behavioral therapy and it ends up turning
Okay.
out to be something that you don't want it to be. I think that'd be a lot of fun. just because, just trying to practice it myself, like doing like guided meditations, I end up, instead of following the meditation, like it's guiding me, but then it ends up turning into a horror film as I'm trying to do this guided meditation. So a lot of the stuff that I think, "Oh, that would be really fun." It's me trying to be nice to my brain, but I keep just like, "Oh, this would be a fun movie." Um,
I think that's a great answer. I also think it's a great way to wrap up the episode. Like I said, I really do appreciate you joining me here for this tonight. I had a lot of fun. Hopefully you did as well.
oh, yeah, it was great. Thanks for having me.
And definitely when some of these movies that are in production get released, we'll look forward to having you back on so we can talk about those and seeing what's new in the world of Melissa.
Yay! Let's do it.
Now, one last thing before we send it off. I always forget this part, but if the viewers and listeners want to follow you and find you and keep up with what's going on with you, where can they find you, social wise or on the internet, stuff like that? Where can they track down you?
Hi. I can track down on the Facebooks. I do have an actor page. It's just Melissa Sapienza, official actor page. Really original. Um, and I also have an Instagram, Spooky Boo Boo 89. Again, it's funny though because
Interesting name, yeah.
yeah, well, the best part is, and it's not like it's intentional. I can only use that name for certain things because it accidentally spells boob,
Ah,
right?
the internet restrictions are weird
I know.
nowadays.
That's
Like
right.
there's people I've seen where they're getting demonetized or whatever, especially like on the world of Pokemon. I don't know how big of
Yeah.
a fan you are of that. When they say Suicune, the Pokemon, they get demonetized because it says Coon at the end. They're getting very uptight, stick in the ass type thing. But no, I digress. Listeners, viewers, make sure you follow her on the socials and
Yeah.
keep track of when these films are coming out. We'll definitely try to have you back on for a part 2 when we get some of these films coming out. And yeah, no, we went much longer than I thought we were going to, which hopefully that's fine with you. Well, we
Oh,
enjoyed
it's
it,
fun.
and
Yeah.
this episode's probably we're gonna post it early September. That way the viewers and
Yay.
listeners know when to keep an eye out for it. And yeah, no, thank you so much for joining me. We tried to put this together for ever since April with Screamiverse, but we finally found time to do it. And no, I had a lot of fun, and I appreciate you joining me.
Oh, yes. Thanks for having me.
All right, let me stop this recording, and then there's one more thing I wanted to talk